All right. Hello to anyone that's catching this on replay or live, but I'm back for another shave. Whoever's on, hello to you. Hope you're doing well. Since I am using Mystic Water, if you guys saw in the preview, I figured since this soap's been around for a while and it has, and you guys, every time I do this, all right, this, here, excuse me, real quick, like this, so it's not all foggy, okay. So yeah, since Mystic Water tends to be something that's kind of known for being a little bit more challenging for some or quite a few people to get to lather, I'll show you guys kind of a couple of my tips. First thing real quick. So last couple shaves, I've been showing you guys this, which I've mentioned is my favorite brush. So these are both from, the knots are both from Shave Revolution. The biggest difference with this one is, and I don't know, they probably look pretty similar, which I would say they are. This tends to have a little bit more backbone. And I think that this is probably my best lathering brush. Now with this one is just as good to be able to lather. This tends to be the softest badger that I have. And reason being, when it is face lathering, you can imagine this shape. What it does is you have this kind of fan. And so the hair is spread out quite a bit more. So it softens up on the face a lot. But this is also, it's not a super dense badger knot. So this is tied again with the other brush for being my most used brush. So, okay, here's how I do the Mystic Water. This is probably going to have a little bit of bloom water that's running out. So I've got one of my bowls. I like to have a wide surface while I'm loading and creating the lather, or the proto lather. And then I just put a little bit of water on top of it. So here's the thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to really show this because there's like no foot on this bowl. So I'll just do my best to, yeah, maybe this will work. Okay. So hope you guys are doing well. Whenever my last shave was, I guess that was Sunday. So today I'm going to be shaving off 4 days worth of beard growth. And I'm going to be using both the standard 0.68 blade gap carbon, and then I'm also going to do a following pass with the plus plate, which is 1.08. So here's the thing with Mystic Water is I kind of define the formula as like a mug soap, or what would be another way you can put it, but one where you're going to want to build the lather kind of on top of the puck so that while it's creating the foam or the proto lather, you're able to work it on top of more product. And I still have a little bit, I don't want to say a challenge, but I have to really work and finesse this lather. So generally I do kind of get a tired shoulder or a sore wrist, but if you guys have seen my videos before, I typically use Saponificio Vericino for the most part in my shaves, and figured I'd bring this up. They had a new release just a couple days ago, and really more so because I spent a little bit of money purchasing the carbon, the base plate. I also have the Focus Tree Talk R52 coming in later this week. So during quarantine, I've had more than my fair share of purchases. So I'm actually going to wait a little bit to get the new SV release. Okay, so real quick, you guys can see This is looking pretty good. I'm just gonna kind of pull some of this up into the knot by doing circles, and then we'll scoop this off and start face lathering. Couple things that I've been seeing mentioned maybe in the Facebook groups and the forums is kind of this idea that the pre-shave or the prep is more important than your razor and your brush choice. I'm sorry, razor and blade choice. And I would say I would agree with that. So one of the things for me, which is why this is always, the camera's always foggy, is I generally always shower before a shave. I can notice a difference when I don't shave. When I don't shower before I shave. And then in my last video, I talked about how long I face lather. So you guys, that's the proto lather. So give me a second. I'm going to scoop all this off. So when I mentioned in my last video that I, face lather usually for like 3 minutes, I would say that that's like my pre-shave. So today, when I hopped out of the shower, I, as normal, used the SV pre-shave oil. But I would say just like compared to when I first started, let me put this bowl to the side. When I first started, I would use like the Mama Bear's soaps, the Colonel Conk soaps, and maybe you can get pretty much the same lather if you face lather or if you bowl lather, those high glycerin soaps, if you want to call them melt and pour. But I find that like right now, however long I end up face lathering for, this is really the benefit to my skins prior to actually cutting the beard off. So I'm just going to kind of keep this. I'm not going to put too much pressure, but just on the tips and just keep moving this. So I roll the brush in my hand, and Mystic Water, for however the formula is, this is, I think it's, if I remember right, tallow, water, castor seed oil, then glycerin, and then potash, potassium hydroxide, and you have shea. And see, this is one of the early ones that I found was kind of unique because of how high the amount of coconut oil is. So one of the other ones that I found early on is Mike's that I liked that had avocado oil. Avocado oil is very interesting to use as a soap ingredient because there's this idea that a oil has a certain profile, going back to kind of what we talked about in my last shave, fatty acids. But when it gets combined with whatever soap ingredients, so you guys can tell it's still fairly glossy. What happens is that oil then becomes a saponified fat, and it changes. It's forever changed. Avocado oil has a lot of unsaponifiables. So the way that I would explain it is a portion of that composition. I think I got some lather in my mouth. A portion of that composition is unchanged after saponification. But I've been purchasing Mystic Water for, I think I looked at my very first order from Michelle years ago, which was back in early 2013. And it's been a while since I've done a face shave using Mystic Water. I think I tried a head shave with it maybe years ago. But I use a lot of Michelle's soaps. I've been using her shampoo bars for years. And she has some really nice body powders. I don't think I'm going to go much longer than this for the face lather, but yeah, I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about some of the other artisans and just bring them up, you know, excuse me, you guys. I'll be finishing today using one of Douglas's aftershaves. I think I'm going to use Otra. I have a little sample to finish off from years ago, but some of these people that I've been buying, you know, different products from years for years, you know, I still purchase different items from them, but just generally shave soaps isn't something that I purchase as much. But one other thing, you guys, so this cedar and sage, I don't have very much left of it, but this was from my very first order. So I've got a little bit left. I brought this up with buying stuff for a very high price. So I haven't gotten my money's worth out of this because I bought it, you know, what's over 7 years ago, and I still haven't finished it. So that's also why I'm a little hesitant to still be purchasing a bunch of new soaps. Even this new SV soap, I'll probably get it sometime soon, but excuse me, you guys. Anyway, I think this is good. So Mystic Water, the main thing is make sure you have enough product that you can load off of. I think generally it helps to have maybe like a wider container as opposed to like a little mug. And then a couple other tips. Use a dryer brush. If you want to use a synthetic, you can, but it will benefit to work the lather using painting strokes. And that's, I think, why I brought up the ingredients. For whatever reason, the composition tends to work by painting. I don't know. Excuse me, guys. Okay, so I'm going to start off my first pass using, like I said, the standard carbon head and base plate, which is this 0.08 blade gap. Now, the first shave I did with this, I was using this really, I don't know, really, the angle that I didn't lift that handle very much. And there was a reason for that. So I'm just going to kind of go with the flow. So see, I don't know. There we go. This is my same Kai that I used in that first video. So this is the third use. This is cutting nice. So I did like the results, just the overall feel after I was done shaving with the standard base plate my first time. For whatever reason, the plus plate, that shave, the most previous video I uploaded, that one was, like I said, 1 or 2 steps above, and just, I don't know, maybe just how intuitive the angle felt. The other reason why I wanted to do this standard base plate too was see how much of a difference using the aluminum handle was going to be. Get a little bit of alum on my hand. And The other thing too, and I don't know if it was the soap, so I really don't know. But maybe the other thing that I noticed is with this standard plate, I noticed that the lather and the hair were clogged on this first shave, and then when I did the larger blade gap, that one didn't seem to clog as much. Couple other notes. And I'm going to preface what I'm going to say with a request that I don't get any private messages asking. But, I did mention in my first videos that the idea behind purchasing this carbon razor was to hopefully get something that was a little bit more obtainable or available, and either shaved within the same kind of like closeness and efficiency as the BBS one. And I had kind of said, like, I'm not really calling these review videos. I'm just using them in my shave and kind of giving you whatever thoughts come to mind. But just off of those first two shaves, I'm going to need to get that. Here, I might as well just finish with this because I'm going to switch to the plus plate and just do another with the grain pass. Okay, that's good. I think we're okay on that. And so here's what I was going to say about the BS1. I think so far, just off of two shaves, I am pretty impressed with just how this feels. I'm tempted to, as I get a little bit more comfortable with it, start shaving my face with less beard growth. And ideally, I'd love to be able to find a setup where I could shave daily. So, all right. So I got a little bit of clean water here just to... All right. So not super close in every area. That's all right. Okay. Let me, before I face lather, just switch the base plate out. And then that way, once I get myself face lathered, we're good to go. A couple other notes on the carbon. So I did get the titanium handle and the original standard head and base plate secondhand, and then I got the base plate new from Carbon. So as far as the finish and the polish on them, I would say it's pretty good in my opinion. Let me just check the mirror real quick. Okay. Oh, so here's the other thing too, is going back to my very first wet shave. I remember I did like 5 passes. I was so dead set on getting the closest shave possible. And so I just kept going over and over and over. And obviously my technique was not developed. I didn't really quite understand at that point really what I was doing. And maybe to some point, I still don't know what I'm doing. But what I was going to say is, when I was thinking about how my face felt after these 2 previous shaves using the Carbon, I think one of the big differences is it's not necessarily always going to be how close it feels like it shaves, but it has more to do with how evenly it feels like you can cut the skin. I almost feel like that's really where it's a little bit harder And it takes a little bit more time to understand that, there is more or less aggressive razors. Then you get a closer understanding of the different types of design in the head and how they might try and figure out the efficiency. And so that's the one thing with this is it doesn't necessarily feel aggressive. I think a lot of people would say like the Mula R41 feels aggressive. One that I haven't tried that a lot of people mention is the Charcoal Goods Open Comb Level 3. Maybe there's going to be some other ones. We got another viewer. Hello to whoever you are. Feel free, if you guys got any questions, use the chat. I'm just about to do my second pass. Okay, so here, you guys see, that's why this brush feels so much softer. Is this brush, it's a slight bit more pointed, and that lather just stays really at the tips. And I think that's the main difference in how that feels on the face and how it just creates really good lather. So again, you have just this right here, Scented Soldier. So Tim Delaney, we are doing no software. There was a couple ideas since you're on, Tim. Thank you for hopping on, by the way. Tim, I've been watching maybe like a couple of your shave videos every few days. Now, I typically don't do a huge rotation. I typically use like one or two of these different Badger brushes. Right now, I'm kind of playing with a few different razors because they just happen to come out. But Tim Delaney, what I was thinking is one of the things, I thought this was a Premiere first. Okay. So Tim, what I was thinking is like for this shave and my last two videos using the carbon, Abraham, what's up? Thanks for hopping on as well. Since I used Kai in the last three shaves, Abraham, you can let me know what you think of this and whoever else is on. But in the editing, maybe somewhere in the corner up here, I don't have the Kai box, but just have a little, not a button, but just I wonder if there's a floating logo that I can have of like the Kai box so that people can know maybe without a description down below. And then the other thing I was thinking is the same thing for this razor. Like if I have a picture of this or like the carbon base plate, if that might be like a little image that floats so that while you guys are watching my video, it's not a pop-up, but it just remains during the whole shave. And then that way it's a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, I keep meaning to talk to you and just shoot you a message. Not that there's any rush. As much as I'm trying to get some new content out and stuff, I think I've been trying to spend a little bit more of the free time that I do have just checking out the new videos, from new content creators. Well, thank you. So, yeah, like I said, Tim, I was doing videos a long time ago, 2014, 15. And it was back when, I would say we're kind of in the middle of the first wet shaving boom. And back then I was doing every single video, switching the hardware, switching the software, new soaps all the time. And Abraham, you had said, send you a message. So this is totally fine when you had commented last time, but trying and implementing new items into my shave, it's a little, I don't want to say stressful. It's just not something I really care to do. So like, I'll give you an example. When I'm using this carbon razor, this is going to be the last shave with it for a little bit because I'm going to be using the Tri-Talk. So once again, I'm practicing, something that I'm not. I want to practice what you preach. But the thing is, I know my software and what works well. And so this just happens to be the one thing that's rotating and changing is just a new razor design. So I feel like if I'm telling people like, okay, we have the Kai blade, the carbon razor, one idea would be like, when I go back to it, I'm not going to be using the Kai. I'm going to be using the next blade is going to be the Gillette Ruby Platinum Plus. And so then that will be the next, little icon. But give me a second here. How can I explain this? So the way that I kind of think about shaves is we have kind of like this triangle, and I have a level of comfort, level of sharpness, and your goal is to try and get in the middle. Now, I haven't used the carbon enough, but let's just say the Kai is right in the middle of those two. So I have a feeling with the Gillette Ruby, it's going to lean a little bit more heavy on the smoothness side, but it won't get higher because it's probably not going to cut as close. Maybe let's say a feather, you'd kind of surpass that level of smoothness. And so you kind of end up over here where it's razor burns and nicks, meaning you still get a close shave. But I want to just be able to have some sort of visual representation of like the blades and how they work for my skin, and then how that works for each individual razor. This feels pretty good. I don't know. Do either of you guys have any questions? I don't know if I should do another pass. I guess I could. Here, I might as well. I'll do a little across the grain pass. And just since both of you guys are on, Abraham, you had said in a couple of the messages, you like my style. I appreciate it. You guys, I'm trying to do these videos more because I'm sure a ton of people just find them boring as hell. I don't have, my big shave den behind me, which is totally cool of other people to do. I end up talking way too much, covering all these different topics, and I'm still not feeling really into my format and my style, but I hope some people are getting something out of it. And so anyway, I appreciate you guys hopping on. And okay, so it was kind of interesting. David had some points in a video a while back, and like he was talking about, he was throwing out some numbers like maybe our wet shaving hobby or niche is only like 10,000 people. And see, this is something where I'm kind of just going at my own pace with these YouTube videos, because I'm stoked that a lot of people are creating content. I'm just not sure sometimes how much of that ends up reaching brand new people that are going to be converted to wet shaving by watching people's video. So what's my intent? I guess I'm kind of, okay. This would be my thing, Tim, is I think that there's a level of all the content that's being put out that tends to just be recirculated in the wet shaving community. So whether it's like most people are seeing these videos that are already a YouTube creator. So my thought is, as I kind of get back into things, how much can I do to try and find with whatever content I create, which again, it's not going to be these, long shave of the day videos. I'm trying to figure out how to get outside of the wet shaving hobby and figure out what content people need to be exposed to wet shaving, brand new people, which is a little bit harder. So, Tim, you had a really good post on the creative group, just mentioning the tags and the descriptions. And I think that was kind of what sparked this idea. So Tim Delaney, these videos, they're going to be kind of casual, just for people like you already making content, people that, maybe I already know in the forums and stuff like that. So we'll go one more time with the plus plate. I'm probably just going to go across the grain, and then I'm going to have to hop off fairly quick because I got to work. But yeah, Abraham, thank you for your interaction on my last live shave video and your message. And Tim, although I haven't seen all your videos, been really enjoying just kind of your contributions to just videos, and then kind of like this whole constructive criticism type of deal with, just working together on the creative Facebook forum, and just, working through some of those different areas of growth with like new wet shavers and new people on YouTube. Yeah, see, so here's the thing, and that's why I think sometimes I maybe come across a little bit more boring, is I don't have the expectation that this is going to be seeing a ton of people on YouTube that aren't already in wet shaving. So kind of just trying to enjoy my shaves a little bit more on camera, and then trying to work on, what's going to be the best format for catching people that are currently using cartridge razors, and some other things. This could just go against the grain right here. It's real light. So, Abraham, that's probably something you and I should talk about. So Tim Delaney, if you don't know who Abraham Viella is, he currently works at West Coast Shaving. He's been there for a few years, if he wants to tell you how long exactly. Yeah, and see, I don't know that I'm much of a personality. I just have a different take, because I have a different way of kind of delivering my thoughts, as well as what I share. Because see here, and this is what's interesting, because you say different personalities. Abraham does have some of the same experience as me with helping new converts, because he is in a rare situation, just like I was, at being able to work at a wet shaving shop. And primarily, though, Abraham has, because of the nature of West Coast Shaving, they do a lot of online orders. But I would assume Abraham also does have some level of interaction on the phone, maybe, with people. And so for me, I have a lot of experience from learning from people in the forums, and, visually, I'm sorry, not visually, but reading through a bunch of just threads and written posts. Whereas YouTube's a little bit different, because it's based on a visual, learning experience. And I was kind of thinking about this. I've brought up Geo Fatboy, but since I started with wet shaving watching Geo Fatboy, and now here I am doing wet shaving videos, I feel like I'm kind of like Geo Fatboy's stepson. So I just want to, if he sees this, I want to thank him again for sharing his videos. And, I'm happy that I got a chance to learn from him. So, but yeah, Tim Delaney says it's important to have so many different personalities. It definitely is. And Tim, one of the reasons why I use Mystic Water today, every time I bring that up, David's always got to put some negative comment on. So I just wanted him to see that you can get good lather out of Mystic Water, and it's all good. Different strokes for different folks. And so great lather. In my experience, it's still not always going to be the easiest to use, but post shave is very good. I don't necessarily need to throw on a balm or use an alcohol aftershave, but I will tell you guys, sometimes if you guys watch my old video, it's like, it's as little as I'm just shaving on video, and I'm trying to enjoy myself a little bit more. But anyway, yeah, like a couple other things just about what's the intent of the channel. For these types of things, it's to give people a little bit more in-depth blade review, as well as like giving a different experience on, what's going to be better to use as far as gear for taking off multiple days worth of beard. And Abraham, if you want, maybe what you should do is on Facebook, join the SV aficionados group. I would hope that you've tried some SV stuff. I know that West Coast was carrying some of their stuff, But Abraham, I think in there, I'm using Cosmo in one of the SV videos where I'm shaving, I think like 2 weeks of beard off. I could be wrong. So maybe I'll shoot you a message sometime later. But thanks to both of you guys again for whether it be just commenting or giving some, constructive criticism or positive. I don't know what else. Any other comments before I hop off from either of you guys? You guys are both awesome. I don't know if there was anything else. Dude, thank you so much. Tim, same to you. And, here's the other thing too, Tim, is like for you, you've got kind of like your channel covers shaving. I know you're really into fragrances. If you watch my last video, which was 50 minutes, I mentioned there's a couple reasons why I don't usually talk about scent, but I'm going to definitely like recommend a channel like yours if I were to get a comment like, hey, how's the scent? Or if they're asking about, perfumes and colognes and stuff, I'm going to tell them, hey, I can give you a little bit of what I think, but you're probably going to have a better experience going to somebody like Tim Delaney. Your name is the Scented Soldier. So I'm not a big cologne person. I will say this, like Bear Stearns Man, I used to love Will's soaps, and he's formulated them and continued to change them, which is great. I know he's doing well with his business, but I really love his fragrances. So I haven't used his shave soaps in a while, but as far as cologne, Tim Delaney, if you're curious, I do have two, Rome and Fougère Classique. No, not Fougère Classique, Aromatique, I think. Those are the two colognes that I have that I like to use. So I typically don't wear those every day. I gotta usually wait for like colder weather for both of those. So I don't know. I guess I'll have to wrap up there. Thanks for hopping on, Tim. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'll shoot you a message sometime and maybe we can have a chat on the phone. And if you wanted to help me out on some stuff, I can return the favor some way, maybe hook you up with some stuff that you haven't tried. But Abraham, Viela, if you're still on or not, thanks again for hopping on. I'll shoot you a message. And dude, like my very first artisan that I bought from right here, 2013. So if you guys, like I said, know me, I typically just use SV for like the last 5 years, but I'm not like an official ambassador. They don't ever give me, like free stuff to promote. That just happens to be what I use. And so this shave is in honor of David Gonzalez not being able to get a good lather from Mystic Water. But maybe when I see him this summer, I'll hook him up with a brand new puck and I can show him what to do. So anyway, have a great day, you guys. Thanks again for hopping on, and I will catch you guys soon. Take care.